Saw her vehicle there in front of the house. Here she is. Here she is. Here she is. On time. We were gonna do, I was gonna call it to order.
I'm so sorry. You're fine, you still have a minute.
Yeah, you're right on time.
Look at that, you can take a deep breath and relax.
For 30 more seconds. Breathe. Ready? Just hit the gavel.
Good evening. At this time, we call the meeting to order. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chuck Warfield. Alice Rodowicz.
Present.
Cheryl Johnson.
here.
Mike Wynn.
Here.
Richard Phillips.
Here.
At this time, does anyone have any opening remarks? Moving forward, are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are.
At this time, we will take public comment related to the items on the agenda below. In consideration of others who may also wish to provide public comment, please avoid repetition and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Would anyone like to make any public comment? Our screen is blank, so I don't know if, our screen is blank,
I don't know what happened.
so I don't know if there's anybody there.
No, there isn't.
We have to turn it on.
I don't. Okay, at this time, items for possible discussion and possible action. Item 3A, approve and deny meeting minutes for 9/15/21.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3B, update on owner notifications for cleaning up properties to be in compliance with the City of Caliente Ordinance Number 138, passed on March 3rd, 1994.
Is there any way to abridge that next time? No? Okay. I would just like to say that everything went out Monday, and we have had people calling.
This Monday or last Monday?
Was it this Monday? Yes, it was. We had some issues, as I said, finding the addresses and such, but we did, I'm gonna read you a letter from one of the people, and they said, "We are in receipt of your letter dated September 29th, 2021. We respectfully ask for an extension to the end of the month to get the work done on our property. Her husband has not been well and has a medical procedure on the 14th, and their sons are involved with coaching at a certain high school. And they said, but they are seeing their way clear to be here on the 25th. If not, we'll hire someone to get it done." So I told this person that it was all right for them to do that. So, and I've had also the Shamrock called, and they said, "I don't know." I think it crossed between when you looked and when they got the letter, because they had gone out and already cleaned up their back. And so there was that, and then we've had a couple of calls where, of course, the letter itself was, I mean, I put proper T and proper Ts just because to be able to get the right addresses, that would have probably been another lengthy amount of time. So we've had several people call and say, "My property looks fine." And it's like, "Oh, it's not your property, it's your rental." So, or it's this property. It's not the one you're living at. It did say property or properties, so if you have more than one. So, but that's, so far, that's been about it. So I would say it's a good response.
How many did you send out?
68,
Pardon?
68,
68?
68. It may have been more than that. I was really numb by the time I got done doing all those labels, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so,
And that letter was for 2 weeks?
for the 20th, meeting on the 20th, that we are going to have normally. So it kind of gave them a little extra bump, but if they get it clean, does it really matter?
No, but if they don't get it clean, it does.
Amen, brother. So that's my update.
Thank you.
And I've received, in fact, I had 3 calls today on properties. So just about every day is 2 or 3.
Yeah.
They're wind up calling me because it's hard to get Linda sometimes.
Yeah.
And we knew that going in, so just, we'll see what happens on the next meeting.
So according to what the ordinance says, our next approach would send them a certified letter.
Yes, that would be after the 20th, correct?
I'm looking at it right now.
Then after that, we do what? I'm just throwing that out there, so
Yeah. so
if they get the certified letter, they do nothing. So far, we've been to that point. On some places, it's been that way for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's never gone any farther, so they haven't cleaned up their spots. So I'm wondering what we do next.
Then we can,
Then
then the
we
city
send
can
out
clean it up and we
certified
can
letter.
put a lien on the property.
For the cost, right?
We do what, Franklin?
We clean it up ourselves and we put a lien on the property.
Does the city have the manpower to do that? Just asking.
Let's ask the other question, the elephant in the room. Oh, what is the schedule for the city to clean up their properties?
Did the
Did-
city get a letter?
I've let everybody know.
You know, it should have gone to maintenance.
Well, actually, coaches, with all the green on it, that went to the Public Works manager. So they're not aware, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I highlighted a lot of places, almost every place in town, so.
I would think that if the landowners saw the city actually out there cleaning up our mess, they might be more motivated to clean up theirs. It would show. I mean, if you got rid of the public land weeds, it would show the private land weeds more.
Yeah. Just, yeah, that's not my, I don't know. You would have to ask the Public Works manager.
Could the city organize a work day of just concerned citizens to help the city out with labor?
Well, and I mean, honestly, I have been thinking of a couple of things too. I was tossing around possibly posting on Facebook if there were people that would be willing to clean other people's yards, if I could get a name so I could have a list, because of course, we're gonna get people who are gonna call and say, look, I live clear over here, I need someone to come and do that. Who?
Well,
And I'm always like,
I'm thinking like, you know, over the years, I have sprayed a lot of weeds that are not on my property,
mhm,
okay? I've actually been jumped on because I was putting somebody else's weeds in their dumpster, and I didn't realize it was a commercial dumpster, and, you know, it's like, eh, it's your weeds, you know, not my weeds. But anyway, that was some years back. I wouldn't mind going along with my pickup and cleaning out adjacent properties to me that are actually on city property.
okay.
They had sprayed, they killed the Turk's heads or the sticker-type bushes, but the tumbleweeds, they didn't use the strong enough or the appropriate weed killer, and they've gotten quite large. You
Yeah.
know, for me to go down and load up a truckload and clean up along my property or adjacent property, I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't want them to feel like,
I would approach Grant about
you know,
that.
and there might be a lot of people that say, hey, let's just take a day, and everybody bring their pickups and some ropes, and we can put a lot of tumbleweeds off of city property, like next to sidewalks and things where people are actually walking, or where the main public goes through or something. and clean that up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like contributing to the city in kind type services.
I see.
Instead of expecting them to raise our utility rates or something like that, to hire more people to do this when, you know,
I understand.
in an
what you're
hour or so,
saying.
you can get a lot done.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I don't know how
I
you.
mean, they
would-
do that for highways.
Yeah.
Well,
Is there
little,
anything legal?
little
that we-
history on it. They used to have, in the town, back in the 80s, 90s,
Yeah, I think I
Uh,
remember.
They used to have block parties or cleaning parties, and the city would provide a vehicle and go pick up the stuff when it was all done.
Yeah,
And the block, they'd organize it, and the block would take care of their own block. People would get out and share responsibilities. They didn't care which property it was or anything else, the alley.
mhm.
I was talking to Susan, and Emery used to always do the alley over where Christie Boudreau and the VFW and all that is over there. It was always spick and span because Emery used to do it. But they used to have a block party, and maybe we could start trying to do something like that to get the community involved in helping with some of the situation, where some of the situation you can't help the city do, that they might have to do some of it too. But maybe we could kind of combine our efforts to take care of it, because it just becomes a mess.
Get some community spirit back, because I think
Yeah.
that we've lost some of that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because TV and phones are so impressive to get lost in, but we've lost our sitting on the porches and waving at our neighbors and helping out too, so, you know.
I know the city had the honor camp here 1 or 2 days last week. But I don't know how much they got done or anything else, but that's all I really know. They actually worked down my alley. So that's how I found out they were there. And I already did my alley, or my part of my alley, so I was hoping they went someplace else, but I don't know where else they went.
Is it the honor camp or is it the youth center?
I think it was the honor
But
camp.
maybe the youth center.
Yeah,
It was the honor camp.
I passed them.
Is there some way the city could work out an agreement with the youth center that some of their,
Mm-mm.
No, the youth are not to be around people.
well, on the main street with no people?
They'll go to parks
They're
and
more
stuff that are
isolated,
away.
more isolated.
I've asked the question several times.
And a lot of this, we're not just talking about weeds either. We have other stuff we have to worry about. Yards getting really cluttered with a lot of different stuff in it.
Mhm.
And we keep talking about weeds, and we have vehicles on the side of the road that's been parked out there for 10 years or longer, haven't been moved. This is all part of what we're trying to do too, is trying to beautify Caliente better. And,
Along with the vehicle is tires.
yeah, and tires, yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Has that issue been addressed?
it should be according to the article, 138, it says tires in there.
Mhm.
I mean, we're 50% there already, so let's get 100%.
Yeah.
Certainly. Susan?
What happens when that individual that received that letter, neither properties fall under in other words, it's sent out in error? So how do you correct that? How do you make sure that these notices are going out to the correct property owners or the people that are living in that property?
It's not going to the people living on the property, it's the owner of the property.
Okay, so it goes to the wrong owner.
It would be the owner would be public record.
How are you making sure that these letters are going to the proper individual?
I can answer that, Susan. We go to the parcel map on the, and I understand that it's skewed a little bit, but pretty much they took those maps and that's what they used to, and then we go and we match them to the owners.
It's based on the tax records, who's paying taxes on that property.
Still went to the wrong individual.
Okay, explain what you mean. Okay, now, I need to clarify this because I think I know what you're talking about. So,
So there's two properties on Dixon Street that definitely need letters. That one of them is right next door, and the other one is across the alley.
so, so basically, we're really talking over by the school, by the grade school. I was looking at my map that I marked on one, and because it was messy, I did another one, and it could have been changed because I did mark a couple over that way. And I actually marked on, I think it's Dixon Street going this way, right there by the park. Is that Dixon Street? On Dixon Street, I had property number 1 on the corner and the one on the other side of the alley, and not the third one on the alley, so it could have been my mistake. But there should have been at least 2 on that street right there.
Well, there were, and apparently we sent it to the wrong person, so.
So,
How do you go through to verify that these are going to the correct individual?
Well, they need to be contacted, so now,
Well, the easiest way to do that is for you to just go over to the front desk and fill out a form. We have the form, say this was sent to the wrong address. And if you know the person, put it on there. If you don't, give us the correct parcel number.
Then how do I know who it was supposed to go to?
Well, then just come and tell the office that it was sent to you by mistake and they'll look again, because
Yeah.
they've just received a map with markings on it and they've double checked with the assessor's website. And so if you think you've received it by mistake, come in and tell the office and I'm sure it can get sorted out.
and she will send out another letter.
Before these are sent out, things should be double checked. And I'm sorry, if it's gonna take another week to get the letter issued, to me, it's better to do it correctly than to send something out that's incorrect.
The maps that she's using, the assessor's maps have marks,
I understand,
and they're mismarked a little.
but if you put because almost everybody knows, or you know, the majority, not only put the property, but put the name of the person that's living in that property. They're getting a utility bill. They might not own that property, but they're getting a utility bill. Therefore, you can go and look and see who owns that property before you send that letter out.
Well, see, in that case, I don't really know. I just know that there were a lot of addresses and we had a lot of parcels to look up. And so I apologize that that was done erroneously. I don't know what else to say. Yes, we did double check with utility bills. That's what I'm saying, but the particular address you're talking about, the person who rents your home has their own utility bill. So it's not,
But you also know that that's a rental property, and the owner is.
right. Well, but yeah, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that even though I looked on the parcel and that's what it said, okay? And so maybe it was my mistake.
Or it could have been ours, or
I'm
whomever.
not sure. You know what I mean?
I'm saying the person that's writing these up, if they happen to know who lives in that house that they're trying to get a letter sent to, if they just put their name on it, then you could look at the utility bill and then you could figure out who owns that.
Yeah.
We would have never gotten any bills, any letters out if we had to do all that. To
In all
look up
honesty,
renter
not all of
names.
us know who they are. I know when we went through, we were trying to do it with anonymity, like where people number it, because not all of us know. And so I see the frustration with it, but when we went through and multiple times down these streets and around, you know, we were trying to do it, number 1 matched with number 1 here on the map, and when we gave it. So we were trying to do it too with the most respect of the people that live in these homes as well, not just trying to put them
Yeah.
on blast, as so to speak. So I get exactly what you're saying, and I certainly apologize, and you know, it's food for thought as well to see. It's frustrating for the person that,
So did the individual that should have gotten that letter, have they received the letter? Have they even sent a letter?
Well, I don't think the office knows that it's been sent in mistake until you just brought it up in this meeting.
And as I said too, as we spoke in the office before, it could have crossed. It could have crossed when, you know, and it's like, We had, say, the Shamrock. They went out back and they said, oh, man, we've got to get this cleaned up. And then they got their letter. Okay, it wasn't because they got a heads up or anything like that. They just went out there and went, oh, gosh, we've let this go, and they cleaned it up. At least that's what Victoria explained to me. Now, or somebody, but that's what I thought might have happened, is that they saw that property, and then in the time it took to get these letters out, perhaps they had cleaned it up. Okay, well,
Okay, I think.
I'm not trying to make excuses.
No, I think that's something, we're gonna have to try to figure out. If we're sending the wrong person, we need to make sure we get it, right, and we need to find out a way that we can maybe double check before we send them out. But this was, something that was going on a long time, and we just wanted to get it out. And if there was a mistake, then we're gonna have to try to figure out a way to correct them from now on, because we don't want to have frustration that way. We want people to be mad because we're making them clean up their property. Really. And in a case like yours, we feel bad that that turned out that way.
So I have another comment I'd like to make is, in reading through the ordinance, I find a lot of things that need to be corrected in here. And I suggest very strongly that you get time of this ordinance to make.
Would you identify those, of course?
Well, the primary one is that, you have to appear in the city of Caliente Municipal Court, which we no longer have.
Yes, we do. Meadow Valley Justice Court contracts with the city to provide municipal court
But
services.
it's not the city of Caliente Municipal.
It is, we have to cite things into the city of Caliente Municipal Court.
Do they come here?
Yes,
When?
whenever they have a citation.
Okay, so whenever they have citations, they come. Also, I saw in here, and we need to go over the ordinance. It was built, it was, I think, done in 1994, is
Yeah,
that
it was
right?
94, I believe.
And it still talks about the City of Caliente Police Department. Law enforcement. Yeah, so we do need to revive and go over this and redo it and get it approved.
Shall
So
we
that's something else.
agendize that for next meeting? Or will that interrupt the process of serving these notices? Okay.
And the other thing that I have on here is, it says that the tax, okay, let's see. So levy the cost, it ends up on your tax bill. Now, is this still the case? Is Lincoln County, do they, assessor know that they need the tax off when all of this comes down and people don't pay? Let's see that. The assessor shall levy the cost of such work as fixed by the city council as a tax against such property, and the same shall be included in the next assessment roll thereafter made, and be enforced and collected in the same manner and at the same time as other taxes. So, is that still the standard policy?
We just put a lien on it, I don't know what.
Yeah, I would think we would just lean it, but that can be something we address.
Well, I think as we move forward, because we want to get stricter than we have before, that we need to look and see what we have to recorrect so we can get it done. So I think it's really important we go over the thing next meeting and maybe we come up with a draft for it.
Moving
But
forward-
I have been seeing a lot of people cleaning up their places. Some prior before our letters have been. That's true.
All right, moving forward, update on city streetlights. Did we get a report
You
from
guys want it on there, and I guess you figured maybe Mr.
Tom, do you
Rao.
have anything on the city lights, street lights?
No, Mhm.
Is, it-
Not the ones inside.
Well, it's nice.
And I believe there was like some, they were waiting for light bulbs as well. The stuff has been hard to find.
Can we go ahead and re-agendize that and request a letter, or request specifically from the city crews or whoever we need to get that from, what the status is, so this is like the
Because
second
it's
time.
nice to go out in the public and say, well, we just talked about that last night, and they're waiting for light bulbs, but they're still working on it, and we have some done. You feel like you are getting something accomplished if you know something about that.
'Cause I don't even know what the primary list was. I know personally on my street, there's issues. And maybe if we have an actual list and a specific report from either Grant's crews or Lincoln County Power, I don't know who we would get it from, but
I will ask Grant about that.
Thank you.
thank you. So at this point, we'll move forward to items for discussion only, the building inspector's report.
Well, I have good news, I have bad news. The good news is that it looks like the apartments, at least one of the buildings has been approved to get it out of the flood zone. The other one is still pending. They've both been submitted. The new owner, when they take over, has to have them both approved before they can actually take over. But in fact, I just received an email today from Sunrise Engineering that they're 99% sure that the other building, Building A, is gonna be approved. So we should have an answer on that, probably not this week, but by Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, and it's good news because why?
It's good news because we can move forward with that project
Okay,
and start renovating those apartments.
and have they figured out where they're gonna put the people yet?
I don't know.
I know it's their problem, but if they're gonna renovate they have to have a place for them to go too.
Well, they're still working around trying to rejuvenate one building at a time. There are some empty spaces in the other building. Whether that's gonna suffice, we don't know yet until we actually get an approval from FEMA, get the money in hand and start construction. Because that changes well, probably not daily, but it changes weekly over there on occupancies. So they keep telling me the same thing, oh, we've got that taken care of. We'll do that when we get an okay from FEMA, so. The good news is that we basically have an okay from FEMA in writing. In fact, I've got a copy of the one that they approved, and the other one's just the exact same paperwork, so I see no reason why it won't be approved.
Hi, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Hi, Eve.
Please come up here.
Yeah, it's easier to hear.
I have a couple of questions. So if, are you being paid to work out at that's part of your salary to oversee the apartments, what's going on?
That's part of my contract, yes.
Okay. So you are employed by the city? Is that correct? Okay, because I was refused to have an agenda item on the city council meeting. The mayor denied it in regards to this housing. I have a lot of questions about this housing and what's going on. So he said the city has absolutely nothing to do with it. Do we or don't we? Does the city have something to do with that apartment complex?
I would.
His involvement is as building inspector. That's what.
He's being paid by the city. Therefore, it is part of the city problem. It is part of the city budget.
But that buildings over there are privately owned.
I know that.
They're not publicly owned.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, it is in regards to the city. If you're employed by the city and you are working out there as part of your employment. So I want to know why I'm denied the right as a citizen.
He's not working out there. He's working for the city as a building inspector to inspect that it is in compliance with the
Exactly.
UBC. That does not mean he's employed by them. He's
Exactly.
employed by the city.
But he is still being paid by the city as the building
To bring
inspector.
it up, make sure it is built to specifications.
So therefore, it's part of the city budget. And I'm denied a right as a citizen to put it on the agenda at the city council meeting. So it's just some food for thought, just I'm putting it out there. So
Are you objecting to the building codes that are being
I'm
complied with?
objecting to the horror that that low-income housing has brought to Caliente. And nothing's
Oh,
being done
okay,
about
wait,
it.
we're talking about two different things. The city has nothing to do with, except inspecting that things are done correctly
Exactly,
over
but
there.
what I'm
But-
saying is, I, as a citizen, have a right to put an item on the agenda to open it for discussion about those apartments.
No, the only people that have a right to put something on the agenda is the council themselves.
Oh, so the common everyday citizen doesn't have a right to send something in to be put on the agenda when, as a tax-paying citizen, I don't have a right to bring something up for discussion?
It can be rejected by the city council for discussion. Otherwise, you're talking about a population of 1,000 here, then if 1,000 people want something on the agenda, we're talking about a 24-hour meeting at that.
Well, you can break it up into multiple
The
meetings.
agenda is controlled by the council.
Yes, exactly. And I, as a private citizen, a tax-paying citizen, have a right to want to know what's going on out at the apartments.
Yeah, you have a right to know that, and you can do that through Nevada Open Records requests, and we'll give you any document that you wish.
I
But-
don't have a problem with you throwing a wrench in everything that I try to discuss with the city council.
I'm sorry.
I just have a right.
You have the right to speak in open comments.
Yeah.
And I would use that ability and that freedom there.
Right. But
Now, for what's the agenda for them to make actions on or whatever, or city decisions on as a council, they have the right to set the agenda.
right,
But
well,
you have the right to speak.
yes, I do. Yes, and I will not be silenced. I just want you all to know that. So I have a couple of other things, but I think I need to leave that till you finish, Ken, for public comment.
Have anything else on your building
Uh,
inspector's report?
The only other thing is the administration building for the Shady is in its final throes right now. They should be moving into it probably in 2 weeks. So,
That looks good.
and in fact, I was over there this afternoon, and they're really doing a great job on it. It really is, it'll be an asset to the Shady and the community. And unless anybody got any questions, that's all I have.
Do we have any, and I always want to know this, do we have any construction going on or anything that, if somebody says, oh, what are they doing over there, we would know about it? We'd need to know or anything?
The only thing that I'm aware of is gonna go on eventually is the meatpacking plant. And I was out there this afternoon. The city is still fulfilling their obligation through the sale of the land to do the dirt work. And they've probably got another 2 weeks worth of work out there before the new owner can even do anything. And on that line, they have never even showed me a plan on what is gonna be put out there yet. So they're not gonna get a building permit to do anything out there till I see a set of plans.
And does that go anyplace besides you, or do you just approve it, or does it go through city
Well,
council, or?
When I see the plans, if it's something that I feel like is over my head to approve, then we can give it to Sunrise Engineering or a specialty contractor to look at and approve whether there should be a building permit issued or not. I mean, I don't claim to be God Almighty and be able to figure out everything. I know that the International Building Code pretty thoroughly, but there's things in it that take specialists to do. And if I hit one of those, then there's gonna be a specialist involved in it.
Was there ever a cost analysis done for the whole entire city crew working out there, what it's gonna cost the city for 3 or 4 weeks worth of work and gas and equipment and manpower and all of the stuff that's not being done in the city?
I don't think so. Nothing I know.
That was a city council decision. So,
But are the costs being tracked?
I'm sorry,
I said, are the costs being tracked? How many man hours, how many equipment hours are
uh,
being tracked?
the Public Works Department is keeping track of the time involved and all the equipment's being used.
And there should be a cost attached to each one of those. So that the city council will know how much it costs to do that work.
There will be an accounting when the cost is totaled up, yes. And as I remember right, Franklin, wasn't there a maximum amount that the city was gonna spend over there for that?
No, I don't remember. That was the grant thing, so.
Yeah, seems to me like there was some numbers tossed around in the early stages. I don't know whether they've gotten the contract or not. I'm pretty sure it did.
That was all part of the deal when we sold the land to 'em.
Is that we would eye level it, is what Grant called it. Rough level, yeah.
And was that price included in the sale, do you think? I mean, when we sold the property, did we say, oh, it's gonna take us 2 weeks to do the property, and so this is how much more it's gonna cost us to level it off?
No,
Okay, I'm just wondering. Okay.
Okay, at this time, we'll take public comment related to any matters concerning the city of Caliente. In consideration of others who may wish to provide public comment, please avoid repetition and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Does anybody have any public comment?
Yes, I'd just like to speak momentarily in regards to the apartments out there. Years ago, when I was on the city council, way back when, people come to us, a Mr. Gutherson,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was the son
Robert, I
or
think, was it?
brother
Yeah.
of the Gutherson owner here in Las Vegas, come with some plans to build this apartment out. After the construction was started and a lot of it was done, they run into some financial problems where one of their backers backed out or whatever it was. And then they had to turn to a HUD loan. And that's when it became as a low-income rental. And turned that area into a slum. Anyway, that's how it got that way. It wasn't intended to be that way when it was presented to the city council at first. But we had no course to take, so they turned it over to HUD to get their loan. So that's how that was.
Thank you.
And that's exactly my point. So that's what it was. It was not ever meant to become the slum and the drug haven that it is. And I'm not here to chew anybody out. I'm not here to make everybody mad, but if I have to, that's great too, because I have a lot of concerns about what's going on out there. So the reason I wanted that on the city council agenda to discuss it, because it has a letter to the owner of, I have been in contact with him. I've already said if I have to issue a FOIA request for simple information that should be public information, I will do that. So what I want is a letter from the city council, because this is in their city. They should be very concerned about what's going on out there. A letter from the city council has way more meat than John Q. Citizen. To request this information from him, you know, what are your rules and regulations? You know, what are you doing to prevent, where are your background checks? There's known felons living out there. You know, these people are out there half naked in the middle of the street trying to get it on in the summertime with the swimming pool sitting right there and the kids out there. I mean, this is not okay. I mean, I don't mean to be ignorant, but I have a real concern and I'm gonna keep pushing on it until we get some answers from the guy who owns it. That's pretty simple. So, and I also wanna say I appreciate everything all you guys do. Sitting on a council stinks. I know, it's not a pleasant occupation. So I know, I apologize if I come off rude, but
So Eve, a question, did he say you need a FOIA request?
no, he won't. He said, he gave me a cell phone number and he said if he wanted me to write a letter to do his job. I'm not his employee. I'm not doing his legwork for him. So I've called him 3 times and he has not returned my call. And so therefore I will take steps. I will issue a Freedom of Information Act and then I'll go straight to the State Attorney General's office.
Okay, I just want to know, what information are you trying to get?
I
from
want to know what the rules and regulations concerning this facility are, how they are accomplishing their background checks, how are they protecting the people that are supposed to be living out there. And you know, the whole low-income housing thing, I mean, it's such a travesty nationwide. You guys can look up the statistics. So, you know, they were put there for a reason, but a person who's not making enough income, you know, maybe a single mother, you know, whatever, they go out there, this person then gets a job. The minute they get a job and become a productive citizen, they raise the utility rates, they raise the apartment rate. Then these people have to leave because it can no longer afford to be there. What is the point? That's my concern. Well, it's not doing our people any good out there. They can't get a leg up. I mean, I watched it. I've seen it. I lived here. I know. So that's my thing. I want Caliente to be beautiful again. I want to help. So I have a big mouth. What can I say? So I have a couple of other things. I would like to know, I went on my walk today and by the city shop, that beautiful parking lot there that leads onto the back walkway. There's now an RV parked there. So we've got cars parking in there that have been there for years. Their tires are flat. They're, you know, is that a public parking space? Are we now allowing people to park their RVs in there? Okay, so that's just a question for you. And then, I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to. Somebody needs to keep an eye on the city employees. And I'm going to tell you, somebody gave me a phone call because they know I have a big mouth. And one of our city dump trucks was seen heading out to, loaded up, heading out to the Knolls out in that area. I don't know where it went. I'm not sure, but I don't know if they're authorized to be hauling stuff out there or not, but we might ought to take a look at what's these guys, what are they doing? Does anybody know? I don't know. And then I have a thing, as I'm walking around the city, I'm wondering if it's possible for you guys to maybe work a little something up and perhaps present to the city council, maybe on a yearly basis, a little budget for installment of sidewalks to start to beautify the city. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. Maybe it can be this little portion this year, this portion next year, but at least we could maybe start to put sidewalks in. That might help with the weed control as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Will you email me his contact information?
Yes, sir, I sure will. Oh, God bless you. All right.
I'm not trying to stop you at every turn.
Okay, I apologize. That was a snarky remark.
I would encourage you to attend the city council meeting tomorrow and relay the same concerns in the open comment section. Is there any other public comment?
Well, I have a question. Oh, I gotta get up.
I don't know if this is the right place, but you guys
can agendize things. As you know, the Bike Fest was out at Super Park. It was amazing. The food was great. The people that were there were great. But as LCAT was putting up the tables and everything, somebody came up and said, "Do you guys have any doggy bags?" And they had to go out and buy doggy bags. And by the time they got through, actually, I was there, they picked up 20 little doggy bag things of doggy manure. And the lady from LCAT was wondering if there was a way that you could put a doggy station like you have along the walking trail.
There are dog bags, have been. I'm not sure if they're filled right now. I haven't walked recently, but
By the Super Park?
along the walking thing.
No, by this pool.
Well,
That's where,
there are, well, no, there's places to deposit them, and yeah, there's one as you, before you go across the bridge.
oh, well, that's way down there. This is down where the grass is and everything. By, where well, you know where I'm talking about. I can tell you, you can tell them where they were setting up. But like I tried to tell her, the biggest problem is not people walking their dogs and not picking it up. It's at 4 in the morning when people let their dogs out to go leave their calling cards. And then again at 4 or 5 o'clock before they go to bed, the dogs, but she asked if I would bring it up, and it might be something that room tax can help with. But I did my good Samaritan thing.
Did.
Thank you.
Is that something we can agendize in any
Yeah,
way?
I think that's usually through the beautification committee, but there's.
The doggy?
the-
doggy
yeah, I think they
stations?
usually talk about, is it not? No.
I was on it. That was never something that was a topic at that point, but I mean,
I don't know who they were installed through initially, but I mean, if you guys wanna talk about it, it's fine. It's not necessarily a planning issue, or a zoning issue, but if you guys wanna talk about it, that's fine.
Well, at the very least, maybe we can get pricing and see if somebody wants to come forward or put it in the budget next year or whatever.
Or someone, we can put it on the agenda, but I'm sure if we just reach out to Grant as well, he'll let us know what the cost is to install that. And you're talking about over there by the pump park, right?
Over by the grassy area,
Where the baseball field?
Well, it's also the beautiful walkway here straight through town. There's big dogs, big dogs.
I thought they had stations through.
I thought so
the
too.
Linear park, okay. Are
There
they
do, there's no excuse.
Okay. Um,
It's 6, 7 o'clock at night. People, I know I live over here, and I don't know how the dogs come running down the street. They leave their dog cards and they go home. Rick, did you finish getting an answer as to what would happen if you don't clean up the yards?
Well, I think we're still working on how that goes.
Yeah, after the notices, right? The legal notices is we put a lien on their property. Or we clean up and put a lien on their property.
There's some people that can't do it. There's a lady down our street, there's no way she could get out and do it, maybe her family would.
Well, would that kind of ties us into the next thing, which is scheduling the date and reviewing the agenda?
Can we go back to
topics?
public comment for just a moment, please?
Sure.
And what was just brought up is a good point. We need to get some community involvement in issues like you're talking about. And the way to do that is write down their license number. If you know them, write down the date and the time that you see this happen. And we need a paper trail before any action can be taken. So I appreciate everybody's comments, but we need to follow through with them. And the only way we can do that is to know who to follow through with.
So at this time, let's schedule the date.
It's the 20th.
And you want to repeat back the agenda topics at this point?
Okay, so from what I understand, you guys, the,
You wanna-
letters, yeah, what do we, how do we know who's cleaned up their yard?
Yeah, so there'll need to be some legwork between now and the 20th meeting, so we know which yards are not in compliance with the letters that were sent out.
That should really be done on the 19th, shouldn't it?
What is the date of that they were given to?
The 20th. Which is the same, the meeting.
Which is the meeting date, which they could do it on that day, and, you know, there's no way you can chuck it unless.
I guess we could just hold that off until the 4th of November, or not the 4th, whatever is that Wednesday.
That'll give them another 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the problem. And then,
I'm assuming that we have a master list of, we need to have that available.
List to go off of.
Do we
or,
I'll make
just take
copies.
copies of them and go
Yeah.
back out?
so we can do it this way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we could still have the meeting on the 20th, and that's fine, and talk about the letters. If by the end of the 20th, someone's assigned to go around and figure out who the non-compliant ones are,
Okay,
and then the city hall can start sending out
certified.
the certified notices, and then it could just move quicker that way.
I'd also suggest that we send out letters that did do the work and thank them for their cooperation. There again,
great
you're
idea.
building up community support, and you show them that you care about that. It just has to be something short and simple, just saying, we appreciate you looking at the letter and following up on it.
We'll send letters out to those that did not get the letter that should have.
Yes.
Yes.
Just where I will go take care of that.
So about the 18th, should we just come see you to get copies of the previously submitted stuff? How are we going to do this? I just want to make clear.
I thought we were deciding who was gonna go out on the 20th.
Yeah, so on the 20th, we can decide who, and I mean, we can do it the same way you guys did last time, is everyone just go out and compile a non-compliant list and give it to City Hall.
But we'll get a list of all the ones that you sent, so then we can just go double check those. It'll narrow it down versus how we did
So
it.
what you could do is just print off the list that she was given a couple weeks ago
Perfect.
and
Perfect.
and you guys can just mark off
Yep.
who's been compliant, I guess, and just leave the addresses in there that are still non-compliant, so we can
Yes.
send out certified notices.
I'll make it easier. Thank you.
And then,
See if we can get a report from the city as far as what they've been able to accomplish as well. Can we ask for that?
so if we did that, let's say we did that on the 21st. Let's say we all went out and did that on the 21st. Could we agree in the next meeting to say, after we do it on the 21st, we turn them in the office, send the letters out?
Yeah, so just, if you go out on the 21st, then bring in your list back on the 22nd, and the next week, the office can start working on the certified letters.
Because I hate to wait till another meeting to say, okay, these are the ones we see to get the certified letters to. And then it takes a week to get them and, you know, all that other stuff. It'd be a lot easier now because Linda has the addresses too. So it'll be a lot easier.
And then you said you also wanted the lights and a report on what lights.
There's no good discussing it and keeping it on the agenda for discussion if we don't know whether it's been done, what's going to be done, or,
Oh, I understand.
I'm just saying, I think we need to have something. Yes, and that's basically what I'm asking, is to have a report prepared.
He
Not to the
reports to the
phone.
council, not necessarily does. And did we talk about putting this ordinance on there to look at it
Yep,
too?
yep. How would I write that? Review?
Yeah, I'll think of some wording for it.
Thank you. And then
For the-
there was also the poo bags.
Cost-
I don't know. what-
The cost to install a dog station at Super Cog.
Thank
Dog
you.
waste bags.
Thanks.
I was thinking when she said doggy bags, I was thinking somebody wanted to take some extra
That's
food
what I was
home.
thinking, wanted to
That's
take
what I
food home
thought.
from the
That's what I thought.
Taste
but-
of Lincoln
I was
County.
thinking of takeout too, and it was like,
Because the food was so good, everybody wanted to take some home,
Yeah.
right? That's what I thought.
Okay, so what exactly do you want to do with that? I mean, I know you say you want it on the agenda, exactly what are we doing with it?
Discuss
Well, I think
costs
if
and
we
installation.
discuss the cost, you know.
Okay,
maybe
so
we
are
can
you
have
guys
a-
gonna be bringing in prices? Am I supposed to get the prices? This is my
I
question.
I would think the grant would do that, that he has access to those
Okay,
books and stuff.
Materials.
okay. Okay, is there anything else? Nope.
In reference to a specific RV parking in and possibly a city parking lot?
Mm.
Do we know if its license is expired?
It wouldn't matter if it was expired or not. If it's on city property, they'd have to get approval no matter what would happen,
you have
in my opinion.
you
It's
have a
not,
unlicensed car that's been sitting on the roads for 10 years. Those haven't been there that long. I've seen them too, and I'm familiar with them. But I don't really know who lives there. I should, but I don't. I'd rather see them there than on the street because of the congestion.
So is that an agenda item?
well, I think, somehow we have to approach something like that that's illegally parked. I mean, that trailer is illegally parked in the parking lot, I would think, isn't it?
What is illegal?
We're talking
Next
about
to
the one
the
over by the
shop.
city hall. That's,
Or not City Hall.
but city
City
utilities,
shop
Yeah.
that one by
Where's
the
that?
ball fields.
Parking for the walkway and all that, for the park.
On the left side of that shop, is that what we're talking
Yeah.
about? In that city parking lot?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Grant, just tow it or something. I don't know.
But what constitutes being illegally parked?
Would you
If
notice?
it's, if it's public property, I'm just asking,
I'd have to take a look into that, but I mean,
does it need to be registered or does it need to be, or,
yeah, I just need to
Put a
notify
notice.
the owner, say, move your vehicle.
And that would go with the cars that are parked.
So who does that? Sheriff's Department, okay.
but there's other situations that are more egregious than that.
All right,
I've asked my renter on several occasions to park in the parking lot, which I'm not sure would be legal now because it's back of the property. But it's hard to get into the one parking area that's on the property because the city put utility boxes in the access area. You can get there, but it's dangerous. So, it's like, yeah, who is allowed to park in the city parking lot?
So, yeah, I mean, even though it's owned by the city, doesn't always necessarily mean the public has access to it 24/7, right? We still control those properties, and we get to say when and how people park on there. And if we say, listen, this is not overnight parking, it's definitely not long-term 5-year parking.
You could make it a limited,
Yeah.
no more than a month
that-
or something
yeah,
like that.
But if we want to tow it first, it's probably important that we notify the owner.
But then you'd have to post the regulations and make it, applicable. So everybody knows what the rules are. Right now, it's public parking. And they are public and parking publicly.
Why don't we, yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. So we can discuss this further, why don't we just put it on the agenda as discussion regarding,
The only time I've ever seen that parking lot full, 1 or 2 events, was when we had the Bishop Fire, and then that was where they were one of their command areas. But I've never seen that parking lot full, except I think maybe once or twice.
Would that be
the 10
parking
years.
in general
Is
in
there
the
any
city
ordinance
on
that we can reference during that
all city
discussion?
public
we
park?
City
Get those?
parking lots,
That would also
all city
help
owned
with
parking lots.
Unlicensed vehicles that have been sitting there for 10 years.
Is there any way to pull that ordinance so we can reference back for that meeting?
Ordinance?
For any public parking like that?
I don't know if
There's
there is
anything.
one, I have to look, but we'll just put it on the agenda to discuss all city-owned parking lots. And maybe we, I don't know.
Well, it's the same thing at the park. You can't have overnight camping at a park. And would it be the same thing as parking a vehicle overnight or more nights and, I don't know. But we'll have to bring it up and talk about it.
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda so we can discuss it further and figure out what regulations we want.
Okay, at this time, then, we will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm glad you found a place. That's great.
Thank you, sir.
I know you're sweating bullets, so that's good.
I know, right?
This pen can go too.
Yay. No. Did you, no, which one did you?
The one that I did,
Okay. That's the one that's for that. So
City
CSL.
clerk, this guy here.
There's one that's,
that's the CSO data.
But I'm,
yeah, and so.
that'll be good.
or- Yeah, no, it is not.
It doesn't really spell it out in the details, so that one I don't know.
I know, it is, it's a little more complicated because you're kind of going to the same space, but you're not. But it is in the CSL thing, it's in the Cassell thing. Oh,